today I thought I'd make a vlog and talk about the phone interview, because I know that tomorrow the applications open for the UK Pavilion again for the summer session, etc. So I thought it'd be quite cool and quite handy to make a little phone interview vlog and just describe my experience, list a few of the questions that you probably will be asked, and just a bit more information about. So first of all, I obviously submitted my things in the January applications, and I heard back about 2 weeks later by email from Yummy Jobs that I'd got a phone interview. So as imagine, I was over the moon, running around the room screaming, jumping up and down, clapping, all that stuff. And it said on the email to go to the Yummy Jobs website, log in with obviously your account details, etc., and select a date and time for your phone interview. So you log into Yummy Jobs, and then there'll be a link and they'll ask you to pick a date and time. So the dates, like say, were about 5 or 6 days. And the times from about 10 AM to about 4 PM in the afternoon that you could pick times for. And they were every 15 minutes. So you go there, pick, and then submit, click, 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 done. So I picked my phone interview to be about 4 days after the email. So what I found was a good method of preparing, so whether, I don't know, obviously do whatever I want, but I copied all the questions down, wrote them all down, so from not only from the forum, but also some people's blogs had them listed, and also some people's vlogs obviously spoke a bit about the phone interview itself. So I spent like a day or so, not on that, but just going all the information sources for Disney basically, and finding all sorts of questions that I could possibly be asked. So then I answered them as if I was writing them basically, so if I was to send them off. Obviously not totally posh, but just like rough draft. So there was about, I'd say 10 or something key questions I found popped up everywhere. So I thought I'd sort of prepare those and then I'd be okay, because there's bound to be during the interview, obviously depending on where you, by your answers, where you lead the interview. I mean, if you say something totally random, he's probably they'll address that more than just flip to a totally different question. So I'll give a list. So after I wrote them all out, obviously you can't have that for your phone interview because it's going to sound too rehearsed, too scripted if you just sit there and read off half a page of A4 of stuff you've already written. So I decided just to make some notes and do it so it was quite easy to look, so you could see the information and a few key points. So whilst you're on the phone, if you do, I mean, I rehearsed these anyway, like in my mind, and kept going over them, so I sort of knew what I wanted to say anyway without even looking at any notes. But I thought it would be quite handy to have them written down, so if I do get a bit stuck, I can just glance over and see the question and then just see a few key points that then should jog my memory. So that's what I did. So, like for example, not this one, if you can see it very well, but I divided it into 3 like sections basically, and obviously in pen that's the question, and then just a few points I had that I wanted to say. So I had 5 pieces of paper in total. So on the actual day of the interview, I sort of set them all out in front of me so I could sort of see them quite quickly. So I thought it was quite a good way. The phone interview itself. So my phone rang, because when you go online, obviously they've got your details anyway, but they ask you to give 2 phone numbers and they can reach you on. So I did that. So my phone, they were a few minutes late calling, so I was getting crazy worried that in case I missed it or something. But so they call. First 5 minutes is basically just introductions, and you state your name, your address, and stuff like that. And then he asks you, or the interviewer asks you about the Disney look, just to check that you have the right, or they just say, do you have any tattoos, do you have any body piercings, or etc, etc. So if you do, obviously then discuss it, and I think they ask you to send pictures, etc, but I didn't, so I was like, no, just my ears pierced, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. And then the remaining 10 minutes they spend actually on the interview. So I was asked a total of probably 4 or 5 questions, because I did actually speak quite a lot. For each question I would not shut up. So I think I didn't get asked that many compared to some others who sort of said they got asked like 10 questions. I would not stop talking, and he kept sort of trying to stop me because I kept talking so much. So the first question This I was actually asked, but so when have you dealt with a difficult customer? So that's quite a simple question, so that was one of the ones I was asked. How would you turn a negative situation into a positive one? So obviously based on customer service and stuff like that, so it's quite a simple one. So a customer doesn't like sort of the product or the food, etc. What would you do? What would you do to rectify the situation? Simple. How well do you get on with people or with your fellow colleagues or with people in general and stuff? So that's obviously talking a bit about yourself then, like you're easygoing or you're friendly and etc. What motivates you? Now that I found was quite a tricky question. I didn't get asked that one, but I found it quite difficult to answer as well. I know quite a few people did get asked that one. So yeah, what motivates you in life? Why do you want to be over there, etc. What do you think would be the most difficult thing about working in Florida? Again, for me, I didn't really, because it's hard to tell, isn't it? But for me, because I don't drive, I just thought the lack of public transport basically, because it's not like here in Germany where you get buses like every 10 minutes, or we ride bicycles over here a lot and stuff. So that was the main problem for me, was not driving and trying to get around. One of the key questions, why work at Disney? Or sort of why out of everyone else in the world should I send you to Disney World? And I was like, oh my god. So I did get asked this question, and I think the majority of people do, because this is like a tiebreaker question thing. So again, I had about 3 different main points that I would answer with. And I think I did actually use these notes and everything, because it's quite a long, you can see it's quite a long bit of notes and stuff. Yeah, so why do you want to work there? So again, that was quite tricky, sort of trying to show that you're going there for the right reasons, like you actually still do want to work. You're not going there just for the chance to be in America, but that you actually do want to be specifically in Walt Disney World, and specifically in the UK Pavilion, and that the UK Pavilion will benefit from you being there, so that you have the right skills, right attitude, etc. So that's quite a difficult question to answer, and again I was chatting away, absolutely chatting, no joke. So another question. So how would you feel about sharing a room and sharing a flat with people from all sorts of nationalities? So how do you cope with things like that? Again, I did get asked this question. And say being in Germany now, I'm sharing with people from different nationalities and stuff, so I have not an advantage really, but I'm already on my year abroad anyway. So again, how would you deal with that? That's another question. Do you like a challenge? Obviously you answer yes, and then why you like a challenge, so that's another question. Sort of describe where you come from, like what country you come from and its value. So I just had written down a few cool adjectives to describe England, to describe the UK, and then also I got asked to describe the city I was from. That was quite difficult because no one knows Peterborough, because it's pissed. Yeah, so again, just have a few key points. I think most people do get asked this because as a cultural representative, you're supposed to sort of know a bit about your country and its culture and where you're from and your city, etc. So that was another question. How will you cope with the heat? That's I didn't get asked that, but that's people have been asked that. How you cope working up to 60 hours a week. Finally, how do you adapt to new environments? Those are the questions that I found people were asked. Yeah, so like say the day in the interview, I got asked 5 of those, and it did last about 15 minutes, just over 15 minutes. And then he was like, fine, that's very good, thank you, we'll send you an email. So that was like mid-January, so again then I found out possibly 2 or 3 weeks later again. But if you have any questions about the phone interview, please ask, please write a comment, I can comment back to you. Oops. I just wish everyone good luck who's applying tomorrow for the UK Pavilion. You'll all do amazingly well. And yeah, so good luck guys, and I'll see you all soon. Au revoir.